Hello and welcome. You're listening to the Nordic Takedown podcast. We are a weekly podcast of Star Wars Unlimited content. We drop new episodes every Thursday, and you can view them or listen to them rather at any place where you usually get your podcasts. I guess you're listening right now, so you must have found someplace. My name is Viktor, and with me today I've got Jason, the Captain Kirk, or Fun Daddy, or whatever you want to go by today.
I mean, I go by many names, but it's good to be back. It's good to be here.
Always great to be gathered here to preach to the assembly. With us today, we've got Mattias. Been a while.
Yeah, for sure. Hello. Great to be back.
Nice to have you on for this one. We have a great episode for you today. We're going to talk about a topic that is near and dear to our heart: streaming. Something that we've been dabbling in quite a bit with
nearly a year now.
For nearly a year now, and we're going to look to have some interesting thoughts and viewpoints on streaming and what it does for the community, ills and gains. So I think this is going to be a really good episode, I think. Also, we will try to, I don't know how all of this, we'll have a news roundup at the end of this episode, just going through some things that are coming up and see some of it might be familiar to most of our listeners and some of it will be news to people. Well, but before we get into any of that, we're always doing our Cantina catch-up. So what have been going on in your SWU lives since last you were on, Jason?
So I just love the fact you still say Cantina ketchup. I'm not sure if that is a thing or if it's meant to be Cantina ketchup, but all I can think is like you trying to smack us on the back of the head to get ketchup out of us to get out all the stuff that we've been doing. It all just blurts out at once.
Very true.
So that's all good. That's all. I'm not sure if it's a typo or if it's meant, but I like it anyway. So in this ketchup bottle, I've been trying to look at. I've been doing something that I haven't done in the previous sets, is looking through the leaders and trying to see what decks I can build up with the cards that actually exist, and doing this a few weeks before the pre-release, where I normally wait until the cards are out and etc before I actually do that. So I've actually enjoyed just exploring a couple of decks and seeing what the leaders can do, how to actually play them, and where to look, just preparing for that kind of pre-release area and kind of think what leaders could possibly be strong there, and also some of my other leaders, the leaders that I have been playing recently. I think Chewie is still going to struggle in this Legends of the Force as well, but I am going to try. There will be at least one Legends of the Force Chewbacca deck that I'll bring forward. So that's pretty much what I've done. And then before that, I was at the showdown in Manatorsk a couple of weeks ago now. I did okay. I was quite pleased by the end of it, but I started off really slowly and didn't quite get the most out of my deck until the end of it, and I realized, although one game was so bad, I went with a Thrawn to green with Data Vault deck, and I played against Rasmus, which is a local player, and the second game we played, I mulliganed for a 2-drop. I got 1 2-drop, and then I could not play a card on the second or third turn because all of my cards were 5 cost or more up until then, and I was so far behind by the time I could even start catching up.
Yeah, that's not how you win.
Yeah, and he was playing a Poe green, and it was just smacking 5 at a time, and I was just like, what could I do? And he felt so bad. We have to have a rematch afterwards just to find out what was happening, which I won 2-0. I will actually just put that one out there when Mike could find out what my deck could do. So I went 2-2. Or do we do 5 rounds Swiss? But I went 3-2, I think, over the day. Or 2-2. So it didn't do too bad by the end of it, but I still started off a little bit rusty as well. But so the nice thing is that I've actually been playing Star Wars Unlimited. That's the positive
That's
I
an
want to
upgrade.
take out.
Yeah,
It is an upgrade of recently, because I know coming into the next month of moving house and stuff, it's not going to be. Yeah, so that is what I've been doing. I've tried to keep it short and concise, but I like talking about my life too much. I like to talk too much, but I will zip it for a second, put my ketchup lid back on, and reach for the HB sauce.
I mean, I did smack this bottle.
Okay, we're getting into another genre of podcast here, Victor.
Smack that bottle.
Yeah. Mattias,
now we're getting into the fun daddy areas.
Yeah, no, I haven't been on for a while. I don't actually remember when I was last on. I think it was like a year ago at least. At this point,
was it the judge talk we did?
We did do a judge talk
in the beginning of the year. Yeah.
I did. Yeah, so then not been that long. I did do that one.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm sporadically online on the actual podcast, but I do exist in the background watching you guys work at all times. So.
And he actually does exist because I see him on a probably bi-weekly basis. Yes. Yeah.
Yes, you can see my face sometimes. I have one of those, I've heard. So playing Star Wars Unlimited, I've been not doing that as much as I've wanted to. Unfortunately, I've also, like Jason, been caught up in a move. I'm sitting in my new apartment right now. I've been here for a week, as well as having to compensate for going to Lille during my 7-day work week by grabbing a 7-day work week followed by another 7-day work week. So I'm kind of exhausted. But I did get to go to Lille, and that was great. And I did decently well, I'd say, for what I was expecting. With my
that's a bit of an impressive humble brag, if I would say so myself. Like, I had to move, I had to work 7-day week, but I went just because I had to go to Lille. Yeah.
Well, I mean, it would have been a better brag if I at least got to the top 64, right? But I didn't. But I did go 6-3 there with my Han Green, which was fun. Yeah. So the games I've been getting in lately have been mainly online, squeezing games in at work when I've had coffee or whatever. Especially since I've worked a lot of evenings, I've been able to squeeze in a game here or there because I haven't had coworkers there to talk to instead.
Or to check if you're working or not.
Well, I tend to work when I'm supposed to work, but if I usually have lunch and stuff or I guess dinner to play game. So I've been, I'll say preparing for Moss PQ. That's a bit of a stretch. I've been desperately trying to figure out what I'm going to be playing at Moss, because on one hand I have Han Green, which is I'm very confident with now, but it's not very well positioned anymore in the meta. And then I've been playing with Vader for yellow, which is really fun and pretty well positioned in the meta at least. But I'm not sure if it's really my jam. So I've also been going back to my kind of roots and playing Bosk Green again, which we have a local player that does a lot better than me, but I do really like that deck. It has a lot of glaring weaknesses, but I'm having a lot of fun with it, so it might be what I go with depending on if I chicken out or not. Basically. So that's been my last couple of weeks, really.
Yeah. Well, last couple of weeks for me, since I was on, I've mainly been theory crafting at first, and then starting to actually test with the new set 5 cards, and I've been knee deep in that. Finally got we cleared out that Adam is actually going to Galactics, and also Jacob Hultman are also coming now. So
and you're going as well to Galactics.
Yeah, I'm going. Yeah. So the group is starting to finalize. It's going to be like the Swedish contingent that's going. I think there might be some people going from southern Sweden as well, but this would be the middle Sweden team, I guess. So we are talking a lot, and some of us are starting to test together and get going with that. So it's really cool.
Nice.
Especially Jacob and me have always been testing decks together, so that's I'm really happy that he's coming.
Because the fun thing here is that it's like, you know, the Galactics are Legends of the Force legal, so it is. So like everything is going to be so fresh, and I guess you really don't know what to expect.
Exactly, yeah. And so testing is going to be at least we get like something like 4 weeks of testing now. So that's it's
But
really fun.
there aren't any big tournaments. There aren't any big thing like
Not I know of.
Legends
I
of the
mean,
Force legal
so
tournaments to really see what the meta could possibly be.
like
Nothing
the
official,
PQs,
but
Nothing official,
yeah,
no.
exactly, because the PQs and the store showdowns for set 4 are still winding down here. There's
Yeah.
some left. You've got the Moss PQ. We'll be talking more about that later on. And there are a couple of tournaments left for the set 4 meta, and then I guess pre-releases and all of that. So I don't think there will be time for
No,
any.
I think that's the thing. It's just it feels like a really difficult task. I think to prepare.
Also, so much fun, so much
I mean,
fun.
you're going to have a whale of fun.
Like being that,
being there.
having the Galactics be the first meta testing of that set will be it'll be super interesting, and it's such as a I'm not really a deck builder as much as I'm a deck tuner. I don't usually come up with novel ideas for decks, but I have lots of people around me that are, so I'm just happy to help tune the decks and get something going. So yeah, that's been my weeks, last few weeks here. So let's dive into today's main topic. We are going to talk a little bit about the ills and the gains of streaming tournaments. How is this beneficial, or perhaps in some ways detrimental to the community? So, Jason, I mean, we've been streaming games for almost a year now. Why are we doing that? What do you think is the main? Why do we like it?
I mean, I did I did a little bit preparation on just this topic because it's a good question. Like, why do we go from that? Why did we go from podcasting and a verbal only thing from last April into, okay, now we're going to do video content. Now we're going to do streams and push out that way. What did that matter? And it started with Man My Game Week, and we got the opportunity to stream that, and it was just going to be a feed. But then I thought, well, actually, this is a pretty big setup. And halfway through the tournament, and when we got there, I was just like, actually, I'm going to do a couple of rounds, drop and focus on the stream and try and do it well. And so I think the overall question of why we stream is because, I mean, it's easier content to create than pre-recorded content, because pre-recorded, like, you know, Victor, you have done some brilliant videos, but the amount of hours it goes into producing that content to get out is crazy. But people want to watch Star Wars Unlimited games. People enjoy seeing good players, so it's easy content to do to build our content base. That's one reason. For us, it raises the awareness of Star Wars Limited in Sweden. If we're doing that, if we put in the effort in not only Sweden but the Nordics, we highlight our players. We highlight the players that are doing well, or we highlight all the players and the fact that there is a lively community here. Even when we're doing store showdowns, it was fun to see that there's always games in Sweden. We have a growing community. People in Sweden would say, "Oh wow, all this happening in Sweden. We can pick up the game. The community grows."
I agree with that so much.
So that's one of the big things for me, and I also feel like we can do it well. And yes, it's a bit of a brag on my part, but I feel like I did a whole load of streaming with Keyforge. And yes, it was online, and it was just me in my room here doing that stuff. But going into doing the live stuff, it was just a next step. But doing the overlays, doing the stuff like that, I'd done it before, and I felt like I could do it well. And I thought, well, let's take this natural step to try and do this well and see where it gets us. And it's actually done we've got a really good response from it. Most of our followers are on the YouTube channel are from streaming. Like well, let's say 50-50. But we do get big influxes of that, and then we get big influxes of subscribers when we put out some bigger videos, and Adam does his roundup videos of when he's done really well at a tournament, etc. So that happens as well, but it grows our own fan base as well. So that's a lot of the good reasons, but it's really just to build the community, because we don't charge for anything. We have a Patreon which people, I think we got one or two maybe give to the Patreon, and it's like $2 a month or something that we're getting in from that. And so there's no money coming in for this, but this is how we are giving back to the community. And for myself, this is how I'm giving back to the community to be involved in it, because I don't get the time to be a good player. I don't get the time to rep decks and be up there with the top players. So I put my time into, okay, how can we expand this? Long answer, but these are the points that I made when I was trying to think of there. So yeah.
I'd like to add the point that it's also really fun to be on the streaming end.
Oh yeah.
It's
I forgot about the fun part. Yeah, it is crazy fun. Yeah.
Like it's somewhat hard work to do a cast, but it's so much fun. And for me, it's I love this way of interacting with the community. Like when you're casting with someone, and we always try to bring in people in our community to our casts. Like we cooperate with other podcasts, such as the Always Tell Me the Odds podcast. We cooperated with them lots of times, and we try to bring in a lot of people from our community, like the active players in the Nordic countries, to help with streams. And I think that's a really interesting way to interact around the game. I really like when I'm sitting here doing a cast and talking to someone else about, and we're talking about some third and fourth player playing in front of us. The interaction is just very satisfying. It's very interesting.
Absolutely.
And I love engaging with the game that way. So for me personally, it's very... It's not altruistic in any way at all. It's just I love it.
Yeah.
I'm doing it for my own entertainment.
Yeah.
But then also I love watching streams. So I know that at least I'm doing something I would enjoy myself.
And actually, when we started streaming was when we discovered your talents, Victor, as well.
I do remember that. Yeah, you were so enthralled by Viktor at
I was like, this guy. I think I talked about it like half the way home from home.
No, but we had a really good time, I think, when we were casting that.
We did.
Week. It was live casting, which is also the very best way to do it.
Yeah.
Like you're actually sitting there next to each other, and you're watching. Of course, you're watching monitors, but the game is going on behind your back, more or less. So it's very hands on. And we could bring up Gamami, Adam, who won the tournament,
and talk to him straight away.
Yeah, and that's the very best way to do it. But also just remote casting like we do most of the time is also a very interesting way to interact.
Yeah.
And I think the thing you brought up as well, Jason, there with like the way you can shine a light on players in your community, both the very best, but also like pillars of the community. They might not be necessarily be the best players, but you can talk about like when you're having early rounds, you might have people that might not go that far in tournament, but they will be that those players that organize things, or that are always there for weekly plays, and the kind of people that you want to shine a light to and like show your appreciation for, and you can do that
and give them the chance to give their bit back to the community, give their chance to be involved, because a lot of people do. I think a lot of people do aspire to be involved in this stuff, and we can allow people to come in and do that with what we do with our remote streaming setup.
Yeah, No, I think so, and I think like when I watch streams, other people's streams, I often engage in the chat, and I see that people do that for
Mm,
our streams as well. So it is in a way bringing the community together, both live as it's happening,
mm,
but also afterwards when people talk about the tournament in the best of worlds.
yeah,
Like people are talking about the experience. You get to share in the experience even if you weren't actually there. You can feel a part of the community as a person that
yeah,
viewed other people. You might know
yeah,
some of the players, you might root for
yeah.
some of the players because you know them either from real life or from in online interaction. A lot of this community is online
Hmm.
based, so there is so much interaction in Discord servers where you actually talk to people from around the world about decks and about ideas for decks,
Mm,
and and seeing them play live,
mm,
then you feel more connected, I
yeah.
think, and that's a part of how the community is socialized that I really
Yeah,
enjoy.
one example of that is Alan in Oslo and his
Hmm.
double blue Obi-Wan deck. It was such a I mean, yeah, he's played double blue since the start apparently, and
Yeah.
he likes that. But he was such an interesting person and a very interesting deck that he managed to take that so far as well. You wouldn't necessarily have given him that spotlight or given those ideas to people if we didn't have those streams or we didn't do that. So and then seeing Alan coming back on and being another good, you know, positive person in the community with theirs as well. But all of this obviously is, in best case scenario,
Yeah. Yeah.
when this kind of stuff actually works and when this stuff can do what it's set out to do, I think.
Yeah, yeah. I think it's very healthy to be aware um, of potential
Yep.
issues with something that you're doing. And I know as a judge, Matthias, you do get to see some other sides of what streaming brings to the community, and not necessarily always in a good way. And I know you've had some really good pointers and thoughts on that. Is there something you could help us understand, maybe about what you've seen as a judge?
Yeah, for sure. And I should start off by saying I do think that the people that do streams and like it's a good thing in general. Uh, we did have a conversation in the Discord channel where I did use some hyperbole and call it the worst thing that's happened to TCGs. That's obviously not the case. We have some bad stuff happening in TCGs. Calm down, guys. It's fine. But it's an interesting conversation because, as you said, I predominantly judge events. That's my way of giving back to the community, and also my way of having an excuse to not be good at the game, which is always good. Um, but
The thing is, you are good at the game, though.
yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Regardless, well, I do see a lot, especially at the lower levels of play when you're just streaming. As we've been talking about, we've been streaming showdowns. We've been streaming some like even Manatoshk's Cantina Brawls. Yeah, there's high prices. People come, but there's a lot of casual players at those events. PQs are also fairly casual for a competitive event. You don't have these massive influxes of hundreds of people like you see in regionals or sectors at this point. And what I see a lot of nervousness around streaming is one of the big things where players are scared that they'll be picked to be on the stream and even though you guys are very good at being like you don't need to be on the stream if you don't have to, it's also very awkward for a person who might already be a bit shy to say no and feel like a burden. And I have seen people who don't really want to be on stream still go on stream and not, and which in turns affect their enjoyment of the event. And to me as a judge and as a player when I am playing in events, what I find the most important at the event is the players having fun. It is still a game, and it's very easy when making content of the game to forget that it is predominantly a game, not content.
Oh yeah, that's something that I think we can all agree on. Like
Yeah.
we make content about the game, but the game is the thing.
For sure.
And going to a tournament is about the people at the tournament. Much like you've said, it's all about making it a great experience for everyone in that room.
Yeah.
And then anything else is just secondary to that.
Exactly. And that can be a bit awkward, especially as a judge, when you see that and you're like, I don't want to like, I can't intervene here. This is not a judge thing. I can tell them you don't have to, and that's about it. And like, again, I don't think I haven't seen like the Nordic Takedown podcast push anyone into something they don't want to really do like that. But it's as a concept of streaming, what I've seen at events, and ultimately the dominance of streaming, even at lower level events, creates this, what you mentioned is a very good thing, this way of seeing there's always a game going on, there's always something to watch, there's always a way to interact with the community, but it also can turn a small portion of the community to feel entitled to that content and to be entitled to the experience of others at these events. And this can take the form of just not necessarily just requesting certain games, but to analyze plays at what is a fairly low level of play, and analyze them and question the plays of players in discords where those players are active, and having them see people essentially saying you're playing bad, you're bad at the game, even if that's not the intention of the player, the viewer, because the viewer considers it context. And that separation between the player and the viewer can become a place where you can also make people not want to show up to these events and rather stay home and maybe play on online platforms or via webcam or whatever, to avoid any potential spotlight
and the scrutiny. I think there's something to that's something to keep in mind, that there is a level of scrutiny that you might be subject to when you play on a stream, that might not at all be what you want to put yourself through. And even like you said, some people might be hesitant to go on stream. A lot of people might not even have thought on that.
Exactly.
And they're very happy to go on stream, and then afterwards they might come online and see that level of scrutiny and feel bad.
Exactly. And obviously there's going to be also a lot of people who really enjoy the bit, especially when you get up to the very high level place. I don't think Adam is going to complain about being on stream again. He is practically his second home at this point. And as a lot of people have told me when we had this conversation, if you go to a top 8 at a regionals or a sector, you're probably there wanting that recognition as well, which is absolutely fair. Like, it's not a bad thing at that point, but at the lower level events especially, it can become problematic.
And it's something to keep in mind as we're producing a stream or something that we need to be very cognizant of the fact that some people might not want to participate, and try to very much give everyone the chance to duck out.
Absolutely.
Without feeling like a burden or something.
And the
like
opponent needs to be okay with that as well, because it might be one person really wants to be on the stream, and then their opponent really doesn't want to be on the stream, and so you also have to manage that little bit as well.
And there's not a lot of time to grab those players before the start of a round. So as a streamer, or at least what I've found is that I just want to get them along over there, play the game. Obviously, you don't tell them that way, but the emotional state is, we need to get this game going or find a different game if we can't, because the game needs to start now.
Now, I think this is something that can be improved on as well. There are probably easy solutions, maybe not to fix the whole situation, but improve the situation. Like I'm my mind is going like 100 miles an hour right now, trying to but maybe we could, but these are things that that's a good thing. Like,
for sure.
We want to improve the situation as much as possible.
I mean, and I think the one thing I wrote down about it being negative, because like I read through the conversation that was there as well, and because until then I was like, what could be negative about streaming. I mean, come on. And I was like, actually, there's
I
a
am the
lot of
Debbie
good
Downer.
points here. Yeah. No, not at all, because we do have to be aware, and because and players come from all different backgrounds. They have all different levels of confidence as well, and we want to be as encouraging people as we can. But I think as a community, we can be aware of what actually we are watching, and like you say, is as a viewer, how entitled do I need to feel? Because unfortunately, a lot of communities out there, and I'm not saying that all people who request stuff and talk about stuff fall into this bracket, but all gaming communities, all online communities have this, I guess, online troll problem where people, or I guess, like keyboard jockeys who like to sit there and comment and just to feel like, okay, I feel like I'm better than this. I should have done that. I would have done this. I want to let people know that I would have done better because I'm so much better. And there are people out there in all communities. And I think as members of these communities, I think we can just be aware of just going, actually, these are mostly casual events. Even PQs, especially the start rounds, people will not be playing the perfect moves every single time. Even judges will not make the absolute best right call every single time. And we have to realize that we are human beings. Everyone are human beings. Even at the end of the day, a long day, top 8, final, people will make misplays. That doesn't mean they're a bad player, and that doesn't mean we can take them to and burn them at the stake because they made a bad thing. They made a bad player, and we should keep reminding them about that. We are human beings, and the community needs to understand that. And be accepting, encourage people instead of being, oh wow, you really played really bad there, what happened?
And I think you're touching on something there, Jason. There's also been actually a problem that is very much exacerbated, at least by streaming, and that is the scrutiny of judges. And like judge calls, bringing the games into a stream and view in this way, but that also makes a lot of people aware of judge calls, and people are presuming to know better, and they don't know the full extent of the situation, and people are hard and fast to judge. When there's someone that's actually there, that's probably sitting next to the table, or at least often sitting next to the table when we're looking at top games of top top 8 play or such, and just because it looks one way on a stream, it's not necessarily what's going on at that table. And like my mindset, even when I watched something like football back in the day, before you had video VAR, or what they call it,
VAR,
and like even before that, I was always a little bit distraught by the frequency with what people felt entitled to criticize judges and referees in even a professional sport where people were paid quite a lot of money. I still felt that was
even
really
at lower
weird.
levels. I've been, when I was 18, 19, I was a qualified referee in England with grassroots and kids football. And seriously, some of the parents I had to deal with, oh my goodness.
I mean, but I am a little bit I'm not comfortable with the level people were throwing things at people that were paid a lot in championship games, let alone something like a junior league or a card game like this.
I will.
People have to some way understand that it's going to have to be a person judging. And that person can only do what they see. They can only take into account what they actually see and what the situation is, how the situation appears to them. And that's the nature of refereeing or judging something. That's how it works. And it's the only way it can ever work. So for people on the sidelines not being able to to understand that it's about a point of view.
Yeah.
That's so.
Yeah.
I feel that's not very. I'm not comfortable with it. That's for sure.
Yeah, it's tough. And I've seen we've had issues like where we've been streaming remotely, and people are writing in chat that he didn't remove that damage, he didn't do that, It's like, okay, that's great. We cannot do anything about this. We do not have connection to the judge. And actually, Mattias, we've talked about this before. It's actually with a tournament. If you're going to have anything to do with streaming affect a game, you need to have a stream judge. You need to appoint a stream judge for things. Lower rounds, you're just if the players both have responsibility for playing, keeping the game state. If it goes past and a mistake is made, you have to carry on.
Yeah.
And like
nothing
they
can
should be
done.
calling a judge if they don't. And like
exactly.
I remember with the Cantina Brawl 3, I was a solo judge on 44 players. I definitely missed things on tables. I can't see 44 tables at once. That includes the stream table. But it happens. Like, we do the best we can with what we have. And the goal is always to make sure that as many games as possible are played as correctly as possible and gives the correct outcome and as much enjoyment to the players as possible. But in that case, that was one person. Usually it might be two people. There is a limitation there. That's even with if there's one or two of us on 40 to 60 players, and then there's, I don't know, 200 or 300 or whatever it is the views on one table, then you're going to catch more stuff at that table than I'm going to be catching at that table. And with all this, like, I have been fairly lucky in that I haven't myself received that much harassment. I think most of the calls I've made have been respected by the online communities, and the ones I've missed. Tough luck. I'll do my best next time. It happens. But I have seen some judges get pretty poorly treated. And you're absolutely entitled to the opinion that judge did not do a good job, but that judge is at best a level 1 judge. I'm a level 1 judge. We have 4 of us in Sweden, 300 worldwide, I think. We don't even have level 2 yet. We are starting. We've gotten the lessons for that are rolling out now, but there's a lot of education that is not yet available to us to be able to do the judging that we're doing. Level 1 judges are supposed to be floor judges at smaller events. At this point, they're head judges at the biggest events in the world, right? So, and there's a lot of level 1 judges that have the skills of higher level judges, but the inconsistency between what the same level judges are makes the expectation on judges be very varied, I suppose. We all do the best we can. There's a lot to know about the game. There's a lot of minutia in the policy document, in the both of the policy documents, as well as the rules documents, as well as the clarifications given to us by FFG to keep track of, and making the best of that and trying to remember the things that are updated through a Discord channel or what it might be isn't always the easiest for everyone. So we make mistakes.
And running the tournament with Melee.
Yeah, and we do a lot of things, and again, like to me, the internet community hasn't been that bad. I have the worst types of messages and stuff I've had is by players who have not agreed to my calls, but I've been able to explain them the best I can, and I've stood by them in all those cases. I've definitely made calls that were wrong, but none of the ones where I've been messaged afterwards, I don't think, in that sense. But
and like I said in the beginning of this part of it, like, it is a point of view. It's then and there, and that's the only way it can ever be. It can't be any other way. And as soon as we need to get everyone to get their heads around that concept, because that will. And then obviously the very straightforward thing of don't be an asshole. Ever.
That's a good one. We do like that one.
There's no good reason to be an asshole. Always treat everyone with respect, you know? And then combine that with understanding the idea about it being a point of view in a point of time. And that's the only way it can work. And then we're going to I think that will be what we need to get to. Sort of, that's the kind of community we need to foster.
Yeah.
We need to have people feel that way.
And there's always things off screen in the stream. You don't at some streams you might see faces too, but usually you get to see hands, you get to see cards, you get to see board state. You sometimes you get to hear voices, sometimes you don't. If you do, you might not hear everything that's being said at the table or near the table. You might not hear. You're hopefully not hearing what's being the conversation between the judge and the player if they step aside. The verbiage between player and judge can change how the situation is interpreted, and like what's actually going on. And a lot of times, judge calls are on miscommunications, and naturally then how that is communicated to the judge is then also part of the resolution. There's a lot of steps to it that are not visible on a stream.
Yeah.
But ultimately, I do think obviously I have the most experience with the judge side of things. That's where I move around. I'm in the judge community. I speak to other judges. I see what they experience and how they feel. But ultimately, we're there in some extent still knowing that we'll get some shit. That's part of the job. We don't want to get any more than necessary, but if someone's going to get it, it's us, right? It's not the players. Unless the player's cheating, and then they will be getting some. But then it's still up to us to resolve it as judges.
Yeah. That's very correct. And we also need to think about encouraging more judges to be involved, right?
Yeah,
getting more people
we need
to be
more
involved.
Of you, please help.
Yeah, there is a call for more judges for those people that have the time to do that. Like, you need to do that, but get stuff like this, the negative stuff that we're talking about that happen, will actively discourage people to get involved in that way. Why would they want to give up their Saturday at a risk of being hung out to dry on the internet if they make a mistake?
Yeah, for sure.
If they think that's what's going to happen, and we need to create that safe place around them as the community to be thankful to the people that go to these tournaments not being able to play so they can judge, so the tournament can happen.
Exactly. And also be aware that we usually tend to, if there was a call that wasn't correct, we tend to, in the judge community, talk about that and try to see how would you have resolved it. I would have done this. But this document says this. That's true. Like, those conversations happen a lot. We do try to learn from both our mistakes and from other people's successes and their mistakes. We do our best.
The idea isn't that you shouldn't be able to criticize the judge call. That's not what we're looking at. We're looking at behave.
Yeah.
Don't be an asshole. Be polite
Yeah.
about it. Talk about it in the right way, in the right forums, and try to make this a positive thing.
And I think
that's not so hard.
Us as content creators, as streamers, as casters, we hold that responsibility as well.
Yeah,
and
sure.
all of
Very
us do. And we hold the responsibility to the game to build a positive community, to make people feel that yes, this is a game that I want to take up and play, because that's gonna mean something to the longevity of the game. We want people to come in. We want people to turn up to these tournaments. We want people to judge. And I think not all. I have seen times when content on YouTube have hung people out to dry unfairly, and all I'm thinking is it they just done it because it's easy content, but what is that actually doing for the game and the community? And it's actually having so much more of a negative thing as well. And I think something has just made me really almost angry that that's actually happened. Obviously, I'm not mentioning names or anything like that as well, because there's a lot of content creators out there, and there should be more, and there's really good content coming out. But we have a responsibility as content creators to this game.
Yeah. I mean, we need to be modeling the kind of culture we want around the game.
Yeah,
like witch hunts are never going to improve anything.
No.
If you see something you don't like, going after those people is probably not going to improve anything.
Yeah.
Instead, try to be the way you want people to to be.
Yeah.
Behave the way you want people to behave. That's usually the best way to get things to move along in the right direction.
Yeah.
All right, so I think this is a lot of interesting things that needs to be on the minds of content creators, and if also it's good to get out into the community at large to think about this, like how to engage with the stream or with a tournament in a way that it becomes a positive experience to everyone involved, and the streaming part of it and how you engage with streams, it should be like we talked in the beginning of the episode, it should be something that brings in a level of engagement that is positive to players. I think that's what we want, at least.
Yeah. And,
all right.
Yeah, definitely. I think that is very well said.
Let's before we close this out, there has been a busy few weeks with lots of interesting new things happening. We were talking about preparing for Moss, and one of the things that I'm knee deep in preparing is the fact that Nordic Takedown is going to stream that PQ. We are actually going to cast it. So Saturday 21st of June, we will have a bit of a nice get together here. Join us for the stream, and you will be able to see who gets to take down the last set for PQ in the Nordic countries.
Oh yeah.
Yep. Also, something else that we did some way touch on earlier in the podcast, but we do have full set 5 spoilers on StarWarsUnlimited.com. So finally testing is
very early as well, like,
isn't it?
Yeah.
I think that's because of Galactics, don't you think?
It's because it leaked. The full cards leaked in certain, I think it's certain Discords. I'm not entirely sure where. I haven't actually seen the proper links. But in order to ensure that no one had a upper hand on it, for Galactics, they made sure to just ensure everyone gets to test with them.
Okay, yeah,
that's fair. Anyway, it's all that, and other sites are probably updating as we speak. It's been out since this weekend, I think.
Yes.
So the full set is spoiled, and that's just, I'm salivating.
There's actually Jonah is doing a deck tech with a member of another community as well on our channel on the new Anakin deck, the hero only card with the blue heroic base. So that will be dropping today when you hear this podcast as well. So if it's not out already, go and check our YouTube channel, and that video will be out as well. I have tried some variations of that deck, and it's fun.
I think it's super fun idea.
Fun. Yeah,
that's fun.
And might be a really strong deck there eventually, I think.
Yeah.
Also, on news, we do have it is official that Galactics has sold out. The tickets they initially released are sold out. There might be there's some rumors that there might be more tickets being released, but as it stands right now, it's sold out. So that's interesting. I think there were 2,000 seats originally, right?
Yes, but I'm not sure if they've told us how many of those are, I guess, reserved for winners and stuff like that.
They have not broken it down that way, but the web page where you can buy tickets said sold out. So whatever they were actually selling was sold out anyway. There might be more released because there are a little bit of rumors going around about that. They might release some more tickets, but right now we might have 2,000 players for Galactics in Vegas this summer. Yeah. Wouldn't it?
Amazing.
And somehow Viktor takes it all.
Well, that is highly unlikely.
Yeah, it's a 1 in 2,000. That's how it works, right?
Yeah, that's how it works. I think everyone got equal chance.
Do you know what? Do you know what you're taking yet, Viktor?
I do not.
You're taking your girl. You're taking your girl, Sabine.
There's a huge chance of that happening, but I'm not. I'm looking at what way to do her justice in this set, and I'm really excited about some things I'm testing with Sabine, but I don't know. We'll see. Also, talking about the Galactics and talking about streaming, they have now announced that FFG will be streaming the Galactics.
Nice.
They have hired a production company to help them produce a high level, high quality stream for the event, and I'm so happy about that. I think for these larger events, I think FFG should definitely run point on streaming them.
Yeah.
I do believe that's the best course, and I think usually their streams they do are very high quality in my opinion. So I think they have the best. They are the ones that are best positioned to bring us the best coverage of Galactics. So I'm really happy about the fact that they've announced that they're going to.
Anyone that we know on the casting?
So
has that been mentioned
at this moment? They have. I don't even know which production company they've hired. But it's a professional production company. I assume that they will bring their own people for commentary and such. But there is a history. FFG has been using established content creators for back in the days with the LCGs. They would sometimes bring in content creators from the community. I know back at least 1 year, maybe 2 years, they had Team Covenant do a lot of the commentary, or almost all of the commentary for their Worlds events. So I know that they have a history of working together with the community, and I know that the team that is working in FFG with content and the community side of it are very engaged with content creators for the spoilers for this season. They didn't just send out spoilers to content creators. They actually had a few content creators get to come into the FFG center to get physical cards of their spoilers, and they helped them. Like they participated in video content to get those spoilers out there. If you're so inclined, you can watch especially the unplayables spoiler. That was a really fun. Like they made the skit where they were sneaking around in the FFG center to find the content cards, but also Ryan Warner, who's been on my Sabine video, his Rebel Resource channel did have a spoiler, and he was also invited over to get a physical card in his hand at the center. So they do engage with content creators, and they do encourage us. We have got these packages sent to us with the content, so they do engage with content creators. It's not unthinkable that they would bring on some voices from the community to help with commentary, but I think that at least the bulk of it is going to be their own people commentating.
You should look at their
That's me speculating, though.
No,
That's
of
me
course.
speculating.
I'm just wondering if we're going to be expecting an email anytime soon with a expenses paid trip over there to help with the casting. You'll already be there.
Will have it.
That would be great.
I doubt that will happen. But if they ask me,
we're free. We're free. If anyone's
no.
listening, we're happy to accept.
Yeah, for sure. No, like I'm just happy that they're actually engaging with this side of it, and that they've decided to do it. And it seems that they're taking it very seriously. They've hired a production company for it, so I think it's going to be great. I think it's going to be great.
I do hope that they actually keep that going as well with regionals and sectors and so forth going forward, because although what we've seen has been amazing from both of those types of events so far, it's great to have some consistency and having them maybe engage with different sides of the world and try to see if they can build something where to shine a light more on the creators that they could get on board for that. That would be great.
I agree. I think I'm happy if they want to cooperate with content creators, but for at least sectors and regionals, I think they should be the ones producing the thing for consistency, for sort of a quality guarantee. And I think if they want to work together with content creators for commentary and such, that's great.
Yeah.
But at least for that level of events, they should probably be running point on it in some way, in my opinion. And then PQs, that's where guys like us come in. That's the level of gaming where we should be probably handling things.
Absolutely,
you don't need to send
absolutely.
up over the FFG crew for Stockholm. It's fine.
Yeah,
We've
yeah.
got it.
And that's, and we, and I mean, mentioning that as well, just to do a plug. Like, if you're having a PQ and you want us to cast, do that. We do have what I think is a pretty decent remote casting setup to do this, to get casters in from all over
Viktor's
the
been
world.
on for stuff in the States as well, and
yeah,
great.
absolutely. So it's doable. So even if you're outside of the Nordics, we with some planning, we could do your cast your event as well. We'll be very, very happy to do that.
Give us work.
But
I'll send a resume.
The big thing here is like we love engaging with the community in this way.
Yeah.
So you're not going to have a hard time getting us on board on anything.
Not at all. Yeah.
Just reach out and we'll come running. That's how we work.
After all this complaining about streaming, have us for streaming.
I mean, I feel like we are responsible members of the community here that can do this.
Ethically.
Ethically
sourced streaming.
Exactly. Yeah, fair trade streaming right here.
Right.
Exactly, but I think it is something that we really, really enjoy doing, and we can highlight as well. And I think if you're a store owner or something like that as well, we always make sure to bring the store owner or the store name there, that we know that people know that your store exists as well around the world, and that there is good communities outside of the main spotlight of stores on American soil as well, because there's a lot of American streams going on there as well, but the game is happening elsewhere around the world, and we want it to thrive in these places too.
Certainly would. Well, I think that is as good a point to end this on as any, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. I had a great time having this conversation, and I think it might be as fun to listen to for you listeners out there. So with no further ado, I'd bid you all adieu. May the force be with you.